Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the entree musician, and so are you. And so is this fabulous young lady we will be having a conversation with today. This is Cheryl Potts. She is the founder and president of CleerKut Royalty. Have you ever heard of that before? I'm just getting hip to it myself. CleerKut Royalty is a rights management platform for indie music creators, music managers, recording labels, and music publishers. Cheryl is also a copyright royalty accountant. We're going to find out what all that means. Listen, if you're a musician and you're trying to turn away from what is this, I promise you, you will be well informed and you will benefit from Cheryl's service. Cheryl, how are you doing this morning?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you today. I'm really looking forward to our chat.
Me too. And I'm grateful for your time and that I know that we're on two different time zones. So I really appreciate you making the opportunity. Before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to Jay Levert from North Coast Digital for actually introducing us. He's an excellent young man. And so from his introduction to this podcast, I'm really grateful for him. But you're doing well and you have this amazing company. But first of all, I need to ask, please tell us, what is a copyright royalty accountant for those of us who don't know?
Well, a copyright and royalty administrator and
Administrator.
accountant is
Mhm.
an administrator actually goes through, depending on who you're working for. If you're working for a record label, you will make sure that all of the releases has the proper licensing and also make sure all the registrations and are completed, and you may also do some other tasks.
Hmm.
When if you're working for a publisher, you will make sure that all of the song are registered with the Copyright Office. You would make sure that it's registered with the performance rights organizations. And you might also make sure that all of the statements come in from the licensees that were distributed from the company. I am a little unique
Hmm.
that I provide copyright and royalty administration services for both labels and publishers.
Mhm.
So, on behalf of record labels, I will get hired to do the administration for a release. And we could talk about that, what's more involved shortly.
Sure.
And also, many of the labels has a publishing arm, and I would also oversee their publishing administration too.
Amazing. That sounds like an incredible mouthful. Tell me what made you get into this? You're absolutely probably a numbers person. Absolutely probable. It's it's a misnomer, but I would imagine that you are a numbers person to want to get in at this degree.
Yes, actually, I started off as a music publisher,
Mm.
and I had met a writer who was writing music for a ton of people. And I really wanted to get him to come on board as one of my writers for my publishing company. And he's like, Cheryl, I've been out here a long, long time. There's no way I'm giving up on my publishing, but
Hmm.
I do need help with my administration. People are using my music, and I have not received any royalties coming in from many of them, none of the paperwork. But so if you could help me get my money that I should be receiving based upon people using my songs, then I will come on as you would be oversee my publishing company, not
Gotcha.
actually get part of my copyrights, but also be the administrator of my publishing company.
Hmm.
And so I was successfully able to get some of his back royalties, and also issue licenses for his songs. And he started referring people to me. And so I continued to work on either copyright collections for people using songs without the proper authorization. And it also led me to people referring me to labels.
Uh-huh.
And one particular label that came to me had a issue with someone stating that they owed over $10,000 in royalties to them. And he sent me a spreadsheet. And because the other person was doing the royalty accounting, saying that this is what you owe. So I looked at the spreadsheet and I looked and analyzed it. And I was like, what the heck are they doing? But I
Mhm.
took out my calculator and found that there was a error
Mm.
in their um, in their spreadsheet where technically the label didn't own the $10,000. The label had already paid through all of their other invoices and that they had an error in this spreadsheet.
Ah,
And when I brought it to them, they were like, oh my goodness, you're absolutely correct. But analyzing the spreadsheet, because they were generating these
yes.
royalty statements,
Hmm.
I started to learn about the accounting and how it's the statements were generated and some of the royalty, um, some of the calculations that are used. So
Yes.
that was my beginning stages of getting into royalty accounting.
That's amazing. And from your answer, you sound like you have an absolute passion about what's going on. So, how did you transfer then from doing this type of work for other songwriters and, being a great bridge for record companies to building your business, CleerKut Royalty? What was the transference of this company coming into being?
Well, what happened was, to be honest with you, prior to being recommended to this label, I had networked with a lot of entertainment attorneys. Entertainment attorneys would set up record labels, LLCs. They would set up their music publishing companies, and quite a few attorneys will say, well, now you need Cheryl to help you do the administration.
Mm.
So that's how I really started a lot with my client base. But one attorney asked me, well, Cheryl, do you do this also for record labels? And for someone who does not want to lose an opportunity, I said yes.
Absolutely.
So So after learning how to do the royalty accounting with this other label, and also already issuing licenses and things of that nature for music publishers, I kind of like reorganized my company for more administration. Not necessarily music publishing, because music publishing, many times you retain the copyright in
Yeah.
the song, especially if you have licensed it.
Hmm.
But I reorganized my company in administration. So what happened then? Afterwards, many years later, I found that I had a need to generate my royalty statements for all of the labels I was working with. I needed a tool to assist me because I was doing these statements manually by
Hmm.
spreadsheet,
Yeah.
which a lot of people in the music industry wouldn't believe they're still using spreadsheets to generate. Now, I
Yeah.
want to be clear, the
Hmm.
statements that I was generating are mechanical statements, not necessarily doing the artist and producer statements. And
I
that's a
see.
different kind of accounting.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the accounting that I was doing is for the mechanical statements, and that's mechanical is for record labels when they release a track that it has a song in it. Most tracks they all have a song in it.
Sure.
It's the license will is governed by the Copyright Office. And what do I mean by that? The royalty rate that's included in the license is governed by the US Copyright Office or the Copyright Royalty board.
Yes.
And that rate will state that, you know, for each unit that is delivered, that you need to pay the royalty rate.
Hmm.
So that accounting is what I generally do, and that's called the mechanical license. It's back to the publishers
Hmm.
based upon the songs that was released, and the royalty rate is governed by the U.S. Copyright Office.
Hmm. Understood. Understood. So, please tell us then, how Clear Cut Royalty was birthed through your working with these other independent labels and major labels and entertainment attorneys and whatnot.
Sure, you did ask that initially, didn't you?
I did. I was trying to get around to that, but but here's what I love. I love, first of all, I love your knowledge. I love the fact that you're so knowledgeable, because this is an absolute need for entree musicians, for songwriters, for indie publishers and producers and whatnot. And when I first learned of what you do, my head kind of popped a little bit because I'm one who does spreadsheets. And I go over to Sound Exchange and I go over to the MLC and I do all of these things. And you created a platform which really significantly helps to reduce a lot of the administration that we entree musicians have to deal with. I didn't know it existed. I must say this before you answer the question, that I also found that there were some other companies, because it's like, well, how come I didn't know about this before, and what other companies exist out there? And I did an A and B, and I'm going to ask you why your company is so different, because it really is. There's an advantage, and that's why I wanted you to come onto this platform and share. But first, let's go back to, how did you bridge working with all of those entertainments to creating a company that is to the benefit of so many artists out here?
Sure. Well, basically, the platform, what the idea began with a need for myself in terms of, if I'm working with a record label, I have some record labels now that I've been doing administration on 8 or 9 albums, right? Because I have
Mm-hmm.
some customers that's been with me. I've been in business 19 years this April, and I have some clients that's been with me 17 years or more.
Understood.
So if they continue to have albums that are released, I still have to do the administration for them. So I had a need to be able to generate these statements, um, instead of using a spreadsheet, some type of tool. Now I began my looking for tool many years ago. So today in the market, there are a lot more tools available. But when I first started out, there wasn't that many opportunities or many tools that I can use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tools that were available was very expensive. So they
Mm-hmm.
were very large companies, more for enterprise type of accounting. And I was a small, independent administration company.
Mm-hmm.
So I could afford it. However, I started thinking, okay, well, maybe I will design one and get one. Uh, I would design a royalty accounting, take my spreadsheets and get it designed to automate it. But one day I had an independent artist say to me, Cheryl, if you're thinking about building a solution for the royalty accounting that you're doing, why don't you also think about artists such as myself, she was saying, that manages her own publishing and releases her own music, that also had a need to administer her own music business. She
Mm.
said that she did not know much about music publishing. She wasn't signed with a publisher, she wasn't signed with a label, but she was releasing her own music. So I went back out in the marketplace and looked, and I'm like, this is an opportunity, because I did not see a solution for her.
Yeah.
So with that, CleerKut Royalty was born.
Mm.
Side note, what many people in the music industry did not know, I was a software engineer for over 20 years. And so my technology background actually brought me to designing a platform and hiring the developers to work with me to build the solution. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited about it. The one advantage I think I had is that not only did it have to work for people who are creating music, I was the first customer.
Mm.
So it had to work for me. And and so when I decided to build, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to build this platform doing royalty accounting. But I decided, well, there's so many other areas for administration that also, if I'm going to build something, why not automate it?
Yeah.
So there are other catalogs out there that does a lot of catalog management, but I also have what I also have automation for the music licensing um, process also. So I have different statuses and different ways of just really making sure if you're going to send out a license or send out an agreement, where it's at. If you're working with a lot of different companies, and then also I included for independents. It's very important for split sheets. So you're also it's an automated split sheets. If you're a music producer, or even if you're a publisher, you're also sending out music a lot of times for song plugging or demos. And a lot of times the email clients does not accept large files, because these are things that were happening to me.
Wow.
So I was able to just go ahead and upload it in my platform and send it to you. You can download it, you can stream it, or just download it. So these are things that in my administration that I had problems with that I built in.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's a lot of platforms that maybe do one or two things, but I think we have a total solution.
And I think your price point is absolutely excellent. I was surprised in doing my own A and B of what some other services similar to ClearCut offer. What you offer and the price point that you offer it is to me an absolutely must have, especially if you are a young entrepreneur and a young entre musician who is just getting started in the game. You do want to learn about publishing, obviously. You do want to know about your mechanicals. You do want to know about your PROs that you're signing with and how all of these other companies, again, Sound Exchange or the MLC or Music Reports or all these other places, you want to know where are the fractions of those pennies coming into, you know. And I think that ClearKut Royalty is an excellent solution for you. I know that the your service is mobile friendly as well. Is that correct?
It is. It runs in the cloud, so it runs on all platforms.
Hmm.
So whether it's a Mac or PC, Windows, it runs on your mobile phones, your iPad. It runs on all platforms. So it is. You could do your work. Today's business is mobile.
Yeah.
And so you're able to do your work, issue a license sitting at lunch somewhere.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Now, can you discuss then? We mentioned the tiers, the pricing tiers that you have. Would you be able to discuss the differences between, so if a producer is listening right now, if a publisher is listening right now, if a little indie label with maybe two or three artists, how those different tiers work for them?
Sure. I have what I call the music creator side, where I may be just a songwriter. I just write songs. I'm not an artist, but people are asking to use my a lot of songs. Then you can sign up underneath the as a songwriter.
Hmm.
And in that platform, you can run your own publishing. There, you can generate your own licenses. You manage your song catalog. You can register your song with your PRO. You can also has areas to keep track of your copyright registrations, and you're able to send large files. Then we have so actually we call that underneath song rights because you're managing the rights of your song.
Correct.
Then we have what is called sound rights, or more for music producers.
Mm-hmm.
Music producers will manage their tracks. And many producers also are songwriters, so it also includes the song catalog. So it has the track catalog, the song catalog, but you're also able to generate not only your license if someone wants to use your song, but if you need a beat agreement,
Yeah.
you generate a beat agreement. You generate an artist and producer agreement. First thing you do, if a producer is with an artist, then they talk about the project and they go into an artist agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're able to generate an artist agreement because they're like templates
Yes.
in our platform. But what I key in on, because it's copyright and royalties, who's going to own the master? So it's a
Yes.
simple, are you going to own the master? Is the artist going to own the master? Are you both going to own? That's all included in our little sample, not sample, in the templates that you're generating,
Yeah.
because ownership is important, right? There's two different types of ownership, whether it's the sound rights or the song rights,
Yeah.
or the performance arts is what the Copyright Office
Right.
says. So that is underneath sound rights or for music producers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting ready to expand on that shortly. Also, there's some other features that we are adding on. You can also track you can also track your services if you, once you approve an agreement with an artist, and then you're able to connect to your PayPal, and then we track those additional services in our platform. And then we have the artists who's self-release artists. The
Mm-hmm.
self-release artists, many of them owns both copyrights. They own the songs. They may write their own song. They go into the studio. They may hire a producer. Producer may say that, you're going to own the master because they pay for their services, or whatever agreement that they work out. So they have both the song and the sound,
Mm-hmm.
right? We also have a release portal, but you're also able to generate statements. If a producer says, okay, I want to 3%, in addition to the flat fee, I want to pay 3%, 4% of the master,
Right.
they can easily import their distributor statements, any kind of distributor statements, and also generate their statements,
Mm-hmm.
whatever agreement that they have with the producer, maybe, and then send them their statement along with the royalties. So that's a little bit different um, in our platform. And so you're managing both rights. We have analytics. We have a dashboard with analytics. Once you import the distributor data, where my song was, or track
Mm-hmm.
was actually sold. Was it sold in Germany? How much was it sold in Germany? Was it sold in Belgium? How
Yeah.
much?
Yeah. Well, let me ask this question then. It's a twofold question. Number one would be the top tier that you offer. Does that encompass the other two tiers underneath? So you have access to everything from the producers to the songwriter in the top tier?
For the self-release, yes, you have
Yeah.
access to both of those.
Okay.
Now, because I work for a lot of record labels, I also have companies.
Hmm.
So for record labels can sign up, and it depends on the artists, the number of artists that they need to administer. So the price points goes depending on the how many artists. So I'm
Understood.
sorry. And
Understood.
so we also have for publishers. You may just be managing songwriters. And so we have a publishing portal.
Yes.
And so for some reason I'm having a issue here. So and then we also have if you're managing both songwriters and publishers.
What if you're managing all three? What if you are that total entre musician who has a couple of artists who are signed to you, a couple of songwriters who are not assigned to you, and you're releasing music, whether it's compilations, selling beats? Is there an all a one size fits all? This is your enterprise tier. Do you offer something like that? Is that something that entree musician calls Cheryl and says, "Here's my unique situation. How can we put together a customized platform?"
Well, it depends. If you're the artist and you're releasing your own music, you can use the self-release artist subscription.
Hmm.
And but if you're using someone else's song that there's not signed to them, you need to get a license. So you need to contact them and say, "Hey, can you send me a license because I'm releasing the song?" Because
Hmm.
if you don't get a license,
Oh
you
yeah,
don't
of
get the proper
course.
permission,
Right.
copyright infringement. So what we did do, because we're a software company, so a lot of times they're like, "Well, my friends don't know how to give me a license." Well, we have another platform called License Your Song, and
Right. Right.
licensesongs.com generates mechanical licenses for those who are have music that's being released and they wrote their own song. So they're the owner of the song, so they can generate their own mechanical license. So we have that platform
Hmm.
where if someone's releasing a song and they're not the owner of the song, they can tell their person who owns it, who wrote the song, go to licenseyoursong.com and
Right.
issue a license to me. And then, of course, they're able to still generate the royalty statements based upon their license quarterly.
Amazing. Now, is that your company too? License is that yours as well?
Licenseyoursong.com. Yes, we're a software company. So
Very cool. I really appreciate that. My goodness.
that's
Well,
another platform that you only pay, I think you only pay, it's a small
it is.
per
It is.
fee,
You want to
right?
you want to say what that fee is? Because I thought, wow, I think it was under $3 if I'm not mistaken
Yes,
per
I can't
song.
remember. I
Yeah,
think I changed it, but yes, it's under $3. And the great
absolutely.
thing is if the song was if you created a song with multiple people, then at the end it says, "Hey, do you have the other writers need to also issue a license? Do you want us to send a notice to them?" And you can say yes or no. And then it will just send out a notice again because it's all automated.
And it sends it by email. It sends it to their
Send an
email.
email,
Yeah,
hey,
excellent.
Cheryl just sent a license to this, based upon a song, but you need to send one too. Would you like to generate one that come out of
Fantastic.
just this
Fantastic.
all because I am the administrator. That's why I think I'm unique
Yeah,
from other
yeah,
type of platform
absolutely.
because I not only think about the concept, it has to work for me.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what the difference is. I am the copyright and royalty administrator and software engineer or technology specialist. So I
Yeah.
actually do the work at hand.
Yeah.
I know what's involved. And so that's why I think we're a little different.
Well, different, and I don't want to be biased, but and I haven't done like deep dive. I know there are 15 or 16 different ones that I've checked into, but it was only a minute on this site, a minute on that site to see what the similarities and differences were. And I kept coming back to CleerKut, like, yo, this is right on point. But so I had a two-tiered question. So thank you for answering the first part, but the second part of that is, as I set up my account with ClearCut, am I able to import data from Sound Exchange and data from the MLC, data from music reports, and other places where I know that they're tracking foreign royalties or international royalties? Am I able to bring that stuff into this platform?
Not yet, but it is
Okay.
on our roadmap. Sound Exchange, I already have met with them in terms of doing an integration. That work has not been completed yet. For the MLC, we, on the professional side, and this is only for companies, we do have what is called worked with their um, they have a integration where publishers can double check to make sure that the details that's going into the MLC, that the all of the splits and everything is correct.
Hmm.
So we are still in a integration with them, but it's not completed. This
Gotcha.
integration is for larger publishers who has a catalog. So what happens is you'll send over your song details, and it will double check whether it's in their system is correct, and then it will send the publisher back a report, and
Hmm.
then they can go and update it if needed for the correct details on their composition.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's
But
that's
it is
wonderful.
on our roadmap. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It is on
Okay.
our roadmap to be able to import the data from Sound Exchange, MLC, and also the PRO. I just
Really?
noticed because the PRO, I noticed that they had spreadsheets, and to be honest with you, as many years as I've been registering um, for songs with the PRO, ASCAP or BMI, I didn't realize that they also had spreadsheets that they delivered the information. Because I'm not a creator, so I
Yeah.
don't technically get a lot of this detail.
Yeah.
And so that's on our roadmap also to just import it, because then you'll have in our dashboard, you'll have a view of all of your music. Another thing that we're going to do real quick is expand on our integration for the PRO. So on our roadmap also is to be able to do a registration for all of the PROs all over the world, and also receive your mechanical details from other countries, from other, similar to what a song trust does.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so that is a registration and collection. And so we've already built the framework to be able to do the integrations for the US, but we need to complete it for the rest of the world, because we do
Hmm.
have people on board from other countries.
That's
And
fantastic.
so, mhm.
So will that encompass then sync licensings, film, TV, multimedias, blogs, all of the media where your music may be used?
Well, sync licensing is something that's already, you're able to generate that in our system. So you can generate the license. And I don't know, I just recently was working with a um, film company, and they sent me all of the cue sheets that they normally send to the PRO, because that's how, for sync licensing or film or TV, how they get paid for their music, right?
Yeah.
Because the production company has to send in the cue sheets.
Hmm.
And so I'm looking to see whether that's something that we can utilize in our system or not.
Yeah.
Right now, it's definitely something they just send to the PRO, because that's how the PRO pays for sync music
Hmm.
that's played in film. But I'm going to look and see if that's something that's helpful for our subscribers also, to show that data in our system.
Absolutely. And you have the monthly tier system. Do you also have an annual? Is there an option for an annual
Yes,
payment?
there's an option for an annual, or you can go by monthly. And
Gotcha.
now is the time to actually to sign up, because like everything else, some of the rates will be going up
Sure.
soon, especially
Sure.
as we continue to build out some of these other features. And so the subscription price will go up.
I'm
It's
certain.
fine for right now, but it's on the horizon.
Yeah. No, no, I understand it. And again, I mean this with all my heart. I'm in full transparency. I did not expect your prices to be as affordable as they are. Extremely affordable for any entree musician who needs this type of administration. Right off the bat, I can't see anyone going to that page and going, "Oh my God, they're trying to kill me." They're not. They're
And
not.
one of the benefits they have is office hours. They have, if you have a problem with administration, office hours, you can speak with someone, you can speak to Cheryl, you can get on a call, and I am available because if you're not successful, then we're not successful, and we want to make sure that you succeed. So they actually have someone, an administrator, that can help them answer any questions or that they may have.
Man, that's beautiful. What about the future in essence of talking about Web3 or cryptocurrency and some of the smart contracts that are coming online with many more musicians getting involved in the metaverse? Do you have any frameworks ready for that?
Not yet. We
Mhm.
are looking at some of the new technologies that's coming forward, and we do want to keep abreast on what's going on, so we could be able to service all our customers. We are currently looking, and I'm quite sure that we will be adding some of the newer technologies in our framework. Today, we have not, but we definitely have it on our roadmap.
That's
Not sure
fantastic.
where we can play at, but definitely. And also, we have to match pretty much closely with our platform is for copyright and royalties. So
Hmm.
we actually track what the Copyright Office is also doing,
Very
right?
good.
So we want to make sure, because we're all about making sure that your ownership of what you create, because that's what our focus is you're owning your rights to the music that you
That's
create.
right.
So we also watch closely at what the Copyright Office is doing and what
Yeah.
laws that they're passing.
That's fantastic, and I must say too, and I could talk to you all day. I mean, it's just like you know, every answer prompts a question, but I don't want to disrespect your time. But the one thing is that was really interesting about your site as well is the amount of information you have on your blog page, and you know, you are doing these videos, and they are short informational videos that any entre musician could just like tap into, and I found that to be very very insightful. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about some of the blogs, some of the videos that you offer, so that there's an educational component as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I in initially, not initially, even currently, I do a lot of webinars because I find that a lot of people do not understand. They think they understand publishing, but they really don't. They think they understand about rights, and they really don't. So, in order for us to be successful again, copyright and royalties, we realize that a lot of people find it confusing and complex.
Mhm.
So, we do provide webinars. We provide short videos. And recently, I've had several people that are already working in the music industry asking for a deep dive, because
Mm.
our webinars is an hour. I'm not giving you a deep dive in publishing, because that will take quite a bit of time.
Sure.
So we've come up with, or I created a deep dive music publishing masterclass.
All right.
That's a different website. That's an online teaching platform that I have, because some people have asked for a deeper dive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're in the music business, no matter what role that you're playing, if you don't understand the publishing, publishing is where the money is.
That's correct.
And if you don't understand it, you may enter or advise somebody to enter into an agreement and not really understand what you're entering. And
That's
I
true.
hear all the time, well, I have my lawyers looking, I have my team. But are you asking the right questions?
Right.
And I've heard some lawyers also take advantage of some people, because hey, unfortunately, we have some bad actors. It's
That's
not
true.
every day,
That's true.
but You need to learn your business.
That's right.
I'll get on my soapbox. You
Yeah,
need to learn your business.
I
Now,
agree.
yes, it's important to have an entertainment attorney. Yes, it's important to have a manager. Yes, it's important for your team. Your team is very, very important.
Yeah,
But if you don't know what you're signing, or even to ask
right.
what you're signing, you'll be amazed. I recently did a class, a webinar on artists. Do you own your masters? Because you may not.
Right.
And that was the title of the master. And I went through how does the record label actually end up owning the master? Because the record label is not an artist. How do they own the masters? And I stepped through the agreements and where it says in the agreement how you write or work for hire and
Yeah,
transfer.
that's
I
right.
stepped through and actually showed them. I had an attorney actually on there. And this is an attorney who was wanted to be an entertainment attorney. So I'm going to not say they were an entertainment attorney, but they were hired from a music company
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to be
Mm-hmm.
their attorney.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they came back and said, Cheryl, thank you so much. This is an attorney. I did not know how the record labels got, would own the masters.
Wow.
So there's a lot of misinformation out there. And
Absolutely.
I try to set the record straight, but
Yeah,
it's important for you to learn.
absolutely. Well, that is fantastic. I do absolutely appreciate the time that you've given us today, and I would hope that this would not be our only conversation. That and sometime in the future, especially as CleerKut Royalty expands, we could come on again and talk about some of those expansions. And just really appreciate your passion. I mean, I know right off the bat a person who is not just in it for the business sake. You saw a business opportunity, but your heart is really there to help
Yes.
advance the cause of the content creators. And I just absolutely appreciate that. So thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Was there something that you thought perhaps I was going to ask and I didn't ask and you need to get that information out there, like the unasked question? Or do you think
No,
we covered some
really,
ground?
you covered some ground. So this was just great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. This is Cheryl Potts. Listen, let me tell you right now, you absolutely want to go to CleerKut Royalty. If you're listening to this podcast and you're driving, okay, you want to pull over to the side, the next exit, and you want to put clearcutroyalty.com into your browser, bookmark it, and then check it out when you get home, because this is something that I feel that every entree musician absolutely needs. So come to the entremusician.com. We're going to add CleerKut Royalty to our resource pages. You can learn more there as well. And don't forget to pick up your copy of my best-selling book, The Path of the Entree Musician, 9 Keys to Unlock Your Mindset, Discipline, and Focus. Let's keep it as a bestseller, okay? So I'm counting on you to do that. Once again, my name is Jerry B. I am an entree musician. As you can see, Cheryl Potts may not be a musician, but she's definitely entree, right? But the most important thing is you are an entree musician as well. We'll see you next time. Peace and blessings to you.